The NatureHike Cloud 2 and the 3F UL GEAR Taiji 2 are both really popular tents among wild campers. I've had the Taiji 2 for a while and camped in it a few times now, and I really like it. And James from Collins Outdoors has just sent me a Cloud Peak 2 to have a look at. So I brought them both out with me today. I'm going to do a bit of a comparison, have a look at the similarities and differences, and see if we can work out which one's best and which one you should buy. Last time I came here, it was covered in bluebells. They're mostly died away now, but I'm going to find a spot where there aren't any, because they are a protected flower or a protected species, I guess. But you need watering, don't you? Hey, do you need watering? So there's a decent sized spot here that I think is plenty big enough for both of the tents. There are still a few bluebells a bit further out, but there's nothing here. So I've got both the tents here. This is the 3F UL Taiji 2. It comes in a really big bag. It's a lot bigger than it needs to be, but it compresses down, so it can be quite handy. Then we've got the Cloud Peak 2 here. They are quite similar in terms of pack size. The Taiji 2 weighs 2.32 kilos. And this came in both with the footprints at 2.58. I should say as well, the Taiji 2, I've got the 4-season inner in there, so it is a little bit heavier than with the 3-season inner in there. So pack size, very similar. And for me, weight size, very similar. The NatureHike is a little bit heavier, but it's less than 300 grams, so nothing that you should massively worry about, really. Price-wise, the Cloud Peak is £151. Again, these are both from James at Collins Outdoors, used to be Camper Lists. The Taiji 2 comes in a little bit more expensive at £187, and that's with the 4-season inner. And I would recommend the 4-season inner, but you can get it for £171 with the 3-season inner. So there's 36 quid more in this one, and when we get them set up, we'll see if that 36 quid extra is worth it or not. I'll put links to them both in the description, and if you use my code DaleyOutdoors5, you'll get 5% off anything that you buy on the site. So it's not just these tents, they've got a load of rucksacks, they've got the Lanshan tents and other tents on there as well. So have a look around and just stick that code in if you want to get 5% off. So in terms of what you get in the bag, this is the Cloud Peak 2. You've got the poles in there, you've got pegs, the ground sheet, that's a lid or cap or whatever you call it that goes on top of this one, and then you've got the inner and outer of the tent together there. Similar story for the Taiji 2. You've got your poles, ground sheet, pegs, and then the inner and outer stuck together. The poles in the Taiji 2 are actually shorter than the Cloud Peak 2 as well, so I think the Taiji 2 will be slightly easier to pack. I was just going to have a look at these pegs before we get set up. These are the pegs. The Taiji ones are very slightly longer. The NatureHike ones have got 3 fins on them, and the 3F UL ones have got 4. I'm going to set up the Taiji 2 first, just so that this one can get in a sleeping bag and settle down, and then we'll get the Cloud Peak 2 set up. Whew. So that's both the tents set up. So we've obviously got Taiji 2 on this side, Cloud 2 here. Quite similar in terms of design, but then there is some subtle differences, but important differences as well. One thing to say straight away is the Cloud feels a lot stronger in terms of the structure of it when it's up, the thickness of the materials. So the Cloud is a 20D nylon, the Taiji 2 is a 15D sil nylon. In terms of the design, so the Taiji 2's got 2 big poles and then a shorter one that just goes across the top bit here. On the Cloud 2, you've got 3 poles that are all the same size, but that means that you've got a pole holding the door out. But then you have got this flat cap thing that goes over the top. They're both 2-door tents, so you've got the same door on the back of each one, and they've both got quite a lot of pegging out points, so they're quite low to the floor. There's the Taiji 2, and there's the Cloud 2. Now these aren't proper pictures by any means. I haven't put the guy lines out, so Terry McTrollface won't be very happy. But I'm looking more at the design of the tents, the materials, and things like that. They're both sold as 4-season tents as well, but like I've said before, with these tents, that only really refers to the inner. So that means that most of the inner is solid material rather than mesh. They've both got a little bit of mesh for airflow, but they haven't got the strength of a real 4-season tent. They are both probably suitable to most conditions in the UK though. The poles feel the same width on both of them. And a lot of people have done modifications to these tents as well. So if you have a look across YouTube, there's loads of mods out there for the Cloud Up 2, and there's quite a few for the Taiji 2 now as well. One of the ones you can do, there's a YouTuber called Grizzly Gaz that's added extra guy lines. So on the Taiji 2, the guy lines are added to these metal clips. He wrote off to 3FUL and got some more of those and moved that one to here and added a second one to the point here. So you can have a triangular guy line or 2 guy lines coming out from each corner of them, just to give you a bit of extra strength. So inside the Taiji 2, you've only got a tiny little pocket for storage down that end. You've got mesh from probably sort of 3/4 up to the top, and then a solid roof, a hook to hang your lantern from. And then, like I said, you've got a door on each side so you can get in and out both sides if there's 2 people using it. And then in the NatureHike, what have we got? So we've got a pocket down that end, similar sort of size to the Taiji pocket. We've got slightly more mesh in this one, so we're probably up a third with solid material. Oh, I've already got a daddy long leg in here. No bother. I've still got a hook to hang my lantern from as well. It feels like the Taiji 2 is a little bit bigger inside, but I don't know if that's because it's got a white interior and it feels brighter. So I've bought my piece of scientific measuring equipment and I'm going to measure them both and see. So Taiji 2 is 130 centimeters wide, 200 long, and the Cloud Up 2 is 120 wide and 205 centimeters long. So the Taiji is 10 centimeters wider, but 5 centimeters shorter. So probably a similar sort of overall area. And they are both exactly 1 meter high at the highest point as well. One thing to note, as I said, because you've got the 3 poles on this one, if you wanted to move it, it's fully freestanding. You don't have to peg the doors. On the Taiji, you can still move it, but you have to put a peg to hold the door out on each side. And on both of them, the ground sheet attaches to the main tent, so you don't have to move that separately either. So I'm just sat here trying to come up with some sort of conclusion. And I don't think there is one conclusion. It really depends what budget you've got and what kind of camping you do. So as I said earlier, the Taiji 2 is 36 quid more expensive than the Cloud Up. So straight away, if you've only got 150 quid to spend, get the Cloud Up. You won't be disappointed with either of these tents. They're both really good. I do like having the option of the 2 inners for the Taiji 2. So now it's starting to get a bit warmer, I've got the option of swapping out that 4-season inner for the 3-season one. I still don't know whether I will or not. I might just leave the door open on warmer nights or both doors open. If you're going to be camping in really strong wind and really bad weather, you probably want the Cloud Up. It does feel like a stronger tent, and it is a stronger tent. But the Taiji 2 will put up with a little bit of wind and is obviously waterproof as well, so it's fine in the rain. If I was spending hours and hours in a tent, I'd probably rather be in the Taiji, just because it's much lighter, feels a lot more spacious in there, even though it's not. But if you need more of a workhorse for the kind of trips and weather and conditions that you're in, the Cloud Up should be it. They're both very similar in terms of difficulty to pitch. It's the first time I've pitched the Cloud Up today. It took me about 7 or 8 minutes, but next time I'll do it in 5. The Taiji 2, I've done that a few times now and I can do that in 5 minutes pretty easily. Not that it matters as well, but the colour of them is obviously different. They both blend in really well in sort of woodland settings and in areas like this. I forgot to measure the porches, didn't I? So in a scientific way, you're looking at 60 centimetres porch width for the Taiji 2. Plenty of space in there for storage, cooking stuff, and it's looking around 70 centimetres for the Cloud Up 2, so a bigger area in there, again for storage and cooking if you need to. Another thing the Cloud Up's got is a dual zip on the doors, so if you want to, you can open them from the top just to stick your head out or let some air in. Who washes their pegs? Let me know in the comments if you wash your pegs. And then just stop doing it. Life's too short to wash your pegs. Put flaps down, duck. Right, how does this work then? I know there's loads of mods to do with this top bit on the Cloud Peak 2 as well. I think you can tie a couple of the things on so that obviously you don't lose it. And it's easy to put it back on next time. I'll probably put it on in the wrong place anyway. It's a good job there's 600 YouTube reviews of this tent that I can look it up on. Leave no trace. Let me know in the comments if you've got either of these tents, and if you have, what do you think to it? And have you found any issues with it? And then anybody else that's thinking of buying one of these can have a look in the comments and see the feedback from more people than just me. Like people who know what they're on about. Where's my bag? Taiji 2 is a lot easier to get back in the bag. But I'd probably ditch, well I do ditch the other bag, and I'd probably ditch this one as well and pack everything separately. Take the poles out, put the tent inner and outer in a compression sack on their own. I just find it gives me more space for all my other crap in my rucksack. So I've left the footprints attached to both of them as well, just to make it a tiny bit easier to set up next time. Quite impressed with this bag so far. You might have seen my review from the other week. It's only 36 litre, but that's got both tents in it. I'll use it next time I go for a camp. Just having a bit of a sweep around to make sure I've got all my pegs.
Leave no trace, leave no trace, leave no trace.
Thanks for coming, Ruby. You've been a great help. Ooh, do you want any more water? In your own time. Whenever you're ready. No rush. Done? If you made it this far, you've either found the video really useful or you've fallen asleep. So if you found it useful, please just take a millisecond to hit that thumbs up button and help the video spread to more people. And if you've fallen asleep, please stay asleep and just let all of my back catalogue play before you wake up. Shh. Right, we got everything? Come on then.